Hello everyone, and today we're going to be talking about the Loomian that never fell off. And the Loomian that we are talking about is Boarrok. Boarrok is a Route 3 Loomian that was pretty powerful right from the start, and that never changed. Despite all of the melee tanks that came out in the game, Boarrok is still one of the best wall breakers in the entire game. Out of all of the Loomians that came out during the first couple updates, Route 1, Route 2, and Route 3, Boarrok is one of the few that have never fell off. The only other possible early Loomians that could be considered even good nowadays is Swolder, who is extremely underrated, and El Iguana, and even then, that had its downfalls. As for Boarrok, Boarrok never fell. Let's talk about its stats. Talking about Boarrok's stats is really interesting, because none of the stats look that impressive. The only stat above 100 is its melee attack at 110. And even then, it's not even in the top 20 in melee attack. Its speed is also meh, only 68 speed. 68 speed can outspeed most of the tanks, thankfully, but it does struggle against fast-moving Loomians that hit very hard. It does have solid melee defense, though, meaning that it can tank hits on the melee side, and has a health stat of 92. This Loomian, judged by its stats, doesn't look that good at all. But if we go a little bit deeper into the moves and abilities that it has, y'all will see why Boarrok was a force to be reckoned with. Boarrok's moveset has pretty much been the same for over 3 years now, which is insane. It runs Earthquake as its main stab move, Raging Tackle as a heavy damage dealing move, and Mega Chomp for coverage. These are its 3 main moves. It does have a 4th move slot that can be changed which kind of Boarrok you run. If you run a defensive Boarrok, you can run Body Crash or Bulk Up. And if you run an offensive Power Cuffs one, you can run Quick Pounce for priority. Quick Pounce, given Boarrok priority, is extremely scary, especially once this thing is chipped. But the best thing is its ability, Boast. That's what makes Boarrok OP. It's an ability that gives Boarrok a +1 melee attack stat if its melee attack is higher than the opposing Loomian on the field. If Boarrok has a lower melee attack, though, it will get a -1 melee attack nerf. Looking at the top Loomians in melee attack, you'd think that there are a lot of Loomians that can give Boarrok a -boast, right? In reality, a lot of these Loomians still can't give Boarrok a -boast because of a few reasons. 1, Boarrok has one of the few Loomians that can run very brawny well. It could drop range attack in either one of its defenses and it would work very well. Other Loomians like Servalin, Windolin, Tyrex, Terraclaw, and Oxydrake that all have higher base attacks do not perform well with very brawny. And the second reason is that some of the Loomians above it doesn't even have access to totemized stats, like Aklos, Nevermare, Gargolem Base, and Colossotrops. When Boarrok has a 110 base attack with very brawny and 200 attack TPs, at level 50, this puts Boarrok's melee attack at 192. You need a base melee attack stat of 125 for a brawny Loomian to just speed tie Boarrok at level 50. And without brawny at all, you need a whopping 142 base melee attack. And that's just to tie Boarrok. And that is with 200 melee TPs as well. To give you an example, Gargolem Attack has a base melee attack of 155. For it to give very brawny Boarrok a -boast, it needs to have 104 melee attack TPs to give Boarrok a -boast 100% of the time. This thing sounds extremely OP, but there are ways that we could stop him. Let's talk about these right now. The only true way to stop Boarrok is to give it a -boast. And while there are only a few Loomians that currently give it a -boast in the meta, there are other ways to give it a -boast. If you have setup moves, like Sharpen or Bulk Up, you could still give the Boarrok a -boast, because your melee attack would be higher after a Bulk Up, and it's based on the Loomian's base stats. So if you have a Bulk Up and go up to +1 melee attack, you can give Boarrok a -boast. Also, there are a couple Loomians in the game that can straight up counter it. Melee tanks like Sir Kame is one of the big ones, but the best tank for Boarrok is Harvesect. Harvesect, I think, is the only Loomian in the game that resists all of its moves, which makes it a pretty good counter for Boarrok. Icicle traps can also damage the same, because since Boarrok is weak to ice, it takes a lot of damage from icicle traps. And despite Boarrok being one of the scariest wall breakers in the game, it isn't overpowered. There are ways to stop Boarrok, and that's what makes it awesome. Let's get to the main question of the video. Why hasn't Boarrok fallen? Boarrok hasn't fallen because of a ton of reasons. One is a lot of opportunities it has to get a +1 melee attack boost. You could swap in on any range attacker and get a +1 boost, which is insane. And even other melee attackers that have lower melee attack than you will still get a +1 boost, and that +1 boost makes Boarrok hit hard, even against some of the tankiest melee tanks. Also, there are items in the game like specialty boots, which gives Boarrok more speed that can outspeed more threats. Finally, its coverage can pretty much hit anything in the game for neutral damage, besides Harvesect. And that's enough for a +1 Boarrok to cause some extreme damage to pretty much anything in the entire game. And these are the reasons that Boarrok has never fallen for over 3 years. It was amazing back then, and it is still amazing today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there are some other Loomians that you want me to talk about, tell me in the comments below. That will be the end of the video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!